He's dynamic.
Oh boy!
He's dramatic. He's the big dog
Dex Detective is back in the house!
that always runs to the rescue.
I still got it.
Charlie Sheen is Dex.
When in doubt, just do the right thing.
With Hilary Duff,
Listen, tough guy, doesn't mean that I couldn't kick your butt.
Eva Longoria,
I've got a hot case for you.
Wayne Brady,
I'm your best friend, Daredevil Dan!
and Christopher Lloyd.
Somebody ordered a recall.
The super slick,
Got milk?
Do I look like the Dairy Queen to you?
super sleuth
Ew!
Clean up on aisle 1.
is about to tackle
Yo, Dex,
They're building an entire army.
his biggest case ever.
let's get him!
I do have an idea.
Food!
I love this guy.
Fight!
It's a battle between the world's most beloved brands and the forces of darkness.
Watch the tail.
Sorry, Charlie.
Taste that!
It's checkout time! Great idea!
Foodfight.
This makes 500 cases you've solved. What's your secret?
The secret's inside.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie, and find us on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Del Vecchio, and with me as always is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, friends.
And once again, I am reminded that there are movies that get paid money and released that we could do a better job than in our sleep. And
Yeah.
I like you for bringing those movies to our podcast every so often to give us hopes and dreams that we
Yeah.
will never fulfill.
We could do it for like a tenth of the money, too.
Yep. And
But
I'd
we'll
be
get into
good
that.
with it. Too bad none of us hit the Mega Millions.
Yeah, we could have financed a sequel. But besides that, we always start with what we watched this week. So, gentlemen, what did you watch this week? Dan.
So I haven't watched any movies, but I've been watching a show from it's a blast from the past, and I don't it might have been like a subliminal message for why I started watching it, but I started watching Columbo. Do you guys remember
Nice.
Columbo?
I remember
Columbo.
I remember Columbo. I don't remember watching Columbo ever.
But you remember Columbo.
I know of Columbo. Yes.
I've
sounds
watched
like
a lot
Mark.
of Columbo.
Yeah, that's awesome because
I also lived with two grandparents, so
Yeah, I feel like I've known Columbo from there's always that every time I went to go visit my grandparents, they always had like the old person channel, I
Yep.
assume. Is that they just beam it right into people that are over 65. Now it's probably showing Blue Bloods, but when I was going to visit my grandparents, it was like back to back, like Columbo, Matlock, Father Dowling mysteries, like boom, triple threat.
I think that's
Yeah.
TV Land, right? Wasn't that TV Land? The
No,
old people?
it wasn't quite TV Land. No, it was
it's
like
something else. Well, now it's known as MeTV, but it's something similar to that.
yeah, it might have been a New York specific station too.
There's also a station called PAX. Like,
Could
Oh,
have
I
been
remember
PAX.
that.
Could have been
Yeah.
PAX.
Well, what's great about Columbo is, and I used to watch this a long time ago when was my dad would watch it, but you know it was basically it was like Law and Order before Law and Order, really, with I guess without the court, but it was every week was someone famous basically coming in, and you know they were the murderer more often than not, but you're getting like a young Martin Sheen is in an episode. Vincent Price is in there. An episode was directed by Steven Spielberg. So it's pretty like you're seeing a lot of these actors who are some of them are still around today, getting their start in television, and it's a nice time capsule for pop culture. and it's a fun show. I had to explain it to a 24-year-old at work, and they didn't quite understand, like, who's Peter Falk? Who?
They just gotta watch Columbo. I feel like the structure of those shows are, well, maybe it's a little objective, but is like timeless.
Yeah.
And you know.
Yeah, I was trying to break it down, like what made the show so charming and watchable, and I don't think it was getting through to them because I was basically saying, oh, Peter Falk's character Columbo, he's this kind of hapless, absent-minded detective, but he's not as dumb as he lets on, and his like whole catchphrase is like, oh, just one more question, and I that's what I remember as, and I just saw I guess I could say kid now. I'm 35. The kid was just like, oh, okay, I guess that's fun and all that. But you're right, Mark. You have to watch it to fully appreciate Columbo.
And then also how much of its DNA is in a lot of modern cop stuff.
Yeah. Johnny Cash is in an episode. I watched the one.
It's a really good episode.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Johnny Cash's episode is really good.
Yeah, the plane crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you're right. I do think that show definitely has left its mark on procedurals and cop shows. It's pretty cool.
I think it's one of the first ones. Now I could be wrong. Someone could correct me. That did the thing where they basically show you what happened in the beginning, and then you just watch Columbo figure it out.
Yeah.
And there's some twists and turns along the way. You don't know everything from the beginning. Sometimes you know the killer immediately, and that's always fun to see. But just those little bits, like the one more thing is sort of the Law and Order sometimes turns around, like they'll have somebody stop and go, just as they're leaving, turn around and go, well, what about this? They have that beat that goes in. But I think the main thing with Columbo is the fact that Peter Falk just inhabited the character of the looks like an everyman but might be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, you can't do that show now because you can't do it without Peter Falk.
Yeah, you could find somebody similar, but I don't think it'll work the same. Or at the same timeless level.
Right. His mannerisms, the look, like the shabby coat, the tousled hair, the fake eye. You can't replicate that. Yeah.
I mean, you could do a Mark Ruffalo in a movie or remake, but he's, a little too clean to be Columbo. But yeah, and what they encapsulated was that time period. Most of the 80s episodes were that everybody with money thought they were smarter than everyone else.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of rich people committing crime.
Yeah, which was probably a big commentary of the time period. But the main thing I was going to say was, I can safely say maybe it's a hot take a little bit, but I think Columbo might be the only not ACAB.
He sits alone because he does everything right.
It's everything by the book.
Yeah, he never plants evidence. He doesn't hurt anybody. He works well with others. He's just annoying, but that's part of his charm. He wears you down with just constant. You think he's not there, and he just turns up. If you haven't seen it, kids out there, if you haven't watched Columbo, it's on Amazon. If you have an Amazon Prime account, it has the commercials on it, unfortunately, so it makes the episodes like an hour and 20 minutes. But I would recommend watching it, and as Mark said, you would pick up, I've seen this procedure in shows that are on now, and you'll kind of get a flavor of and a little bit of a history for those types of shows.
Yeah, and they were mostly events. Like, it wasn't like a weekly hour show. Like, they were special movies, hour and a half, 2 hour things every time they came on. Like,
right.
It's a little slightly different than Murder, She Wrote and other things of the era. It was like, from what I learned from my grandfather and grandmother, is that when Columbo was on, it was an event. Like, ooh, the new Columbo is on.
I think the closest they did to a remake, and I've never seen it, but have you guys ever watched Monk?
Mm-hmm.
Monk's
Is
probably
that-
the closest.
It's something similar, right?
Monk's a very good show.
Yeah. Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub.
And he is he a detective as well?
He's like sort of a private investigator, sort of that the police kind of hire out to solve crimes.
Okay. So there's some similarity, but he's just not on the police force.
Right.
But he's a very
he used to
man.
be he kind of had like a nervous breakdown, so then he's like kind of like freelance after that, I think.
I remember his shtick being he's like a little OCD.
Not a little, very OCD.
Oh, very OCD. Yeah, they would show in the coming attractions him meticulously cleaning or just keeping things tidy. So yeah, just and both are very odd. Not obviously not. I'm not trying to say people who have OCD are odd, but other people might see that and be like, oh, like this is an odd fellow, and it's quirky. Yeah, exactly.
Part of the USA Characters Welcome campaign.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. So maybe I'll check out Columbo after I've done my watch through of Quincy M.E. starring Jack Klugman.
Yeah. My triple threat was with my grandfather was Columbo, Matlock, and Perry Mason.
There you go.
An old black and white Perry Mason. For those of you that have ever seen it, knows that there's a difference between the show that was on in the black and white era and when he came back to, I guess, be a Columbo or Matlock competitor in the 80s as an old man. But yeah, those three tended to be on my television a lot in my house.
Gotcha. We're really playing to our boomer crowd right now.
Oh yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
We're trying to embrace a new audience into our fold. Everybody's welcome here.
We're trying to get that 55 to 70 demographic that has been eluding us. Bad episode to do so in, though. But,
yeah. But no, not necessarily, because a lot of the characters in this, were created by boomers.
Hey, that's Charlie Tuna.
I remember him.
Okay, that's all you watched this week, Dan? Just Columbo?
Yes, correct.
You eating your farina while you're doing that and playing checkers?
Yeah, no, I was playing dominoes.
Oh, wow.
All right, Mark, what about you? Watch anything this week?
No, I did not, but I was surprised to find out today that Bullet Train comes out on Friday, so I may have a movie to talk about next week.
Interesting. I've seen that trailer 100 times, and I don't feel like I'm interested. I don't know.
I have the opposite reaction, so.
Yeah.
Mark, we could go see Bullet Train without Anthony.
That's fine. I'm down for a date.
He threw you under the bus, Ant, real quick.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, we don't have a superhero movie coming out anytime soon, which is usually me and Ant's dates end up either being superhero movies or really weird A24 movies.
Oh yeah, I think we saw two. We saw Ex Machina.
Yeah.
And Annihilation.
Yeah.
Both bangers.
Both bangers. As for me, I didn't watch much except for I am now done with season 2 of The Boys, so I'm about to watch season 3 any day now. That's about it.
So are you're just gonna plow through them?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Probably get done in maybe a couple weeks or so. I did watch RoboCop again because we were talking this past week about RoboCop and how it wound up on the Rolling Stone greatest superhero movies list of all time.
And has your opinion changed?
Do you feel that we are currently living inside one of the commercials during RoboCop in our current society?
I know we're currently living in the RoboCop world.
Yeah, we're in New Detroit essentially.
I still don't think that a satire, a Paul Verhoeven satire, can be considered a superhero movie. But if it is, it might be the best superhero movie of all time because it's still fucking great.
I didn't even see, and we were talking about this on Friday, as Anthony was saying. He's not a superhero, RoboCop.
Right?
No. He shoots people. He never makes one arrest.
No.
He just kills people. And granted, they're all bad people, but, as a cop, again, you're not supposed... He's basically... And we were discussing this. He's almost like Judge Dredd before Judge Dredd.
It's just the whole movie. It's... So, the problem that I have with the comparison to Judge Dredd is that because we've covered both movies on this podcast. Judge Dredd, the movie itself, doesn't seem to be a satire. That seems to be a pro-fascist movie. And there are moments, and I think even when we were talking about that movie, there were moments where it felt like it almost got it, but didn't get it.
It was so close.
Yeah, it was like it's making the points, but it's not crossing that finish line. Where RoboCop is 100% a satire, because it's Paul Verhoeven.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think I think Judge Dredd. It was so close to the point of just because it's a law doesn't mean it's a good law. It needs to be followed to the letter, you know. But
yeah,
as that turns around, it's just there was a bad guy behind it who kind of bent the rules. The law is still the law, or how I interpret the law is still the law.
Right. And so, like, yeah, that just the fact that it is a satire of fascism funded by corporations and created by a corporation that's kind of pulling the strings to just do what it wants to do is kind of spitting in the face of calling, like, if you want to call him I have more of a problem calling it a superhero movie more than I have a problem with him being called a superhero, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't.
No, I think it does.
And it probably splitting hairs a little bit.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but what in the movie would necessitate it being a superhero movie?
Right. Yeah. And I just don't see it.
Right.
So, but if it's going to be called a superhero movie, it 100% might be one of the best, probably like top 5 superhero movie of all time.
Wow, that's pretty high.
Yeah. The more I watch RoboCop, the more I like it.
I won't deny that. It's a great movie. I'd watch that all the time.
Mm-hmm. And that's all I watched this week, I think. Yeah. Just watch The Boys and RoboCop. So that's it for what we watched this week. And we are going to take a quick break. And you guys are going to list some ads so we can pay those bills. And we will be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time to get into this week's movie. And this week was my pick. And I brought violence this week. Not sure why. Just felt like it. Fuck some shit up. Felt like we were being too easy on ourselves lately. So I decided to buck that trend. I went with what I read or seen online. Quite possibly the worst movie of all time. Definitely the worst animated film of all time. I went with the 2012, by way of 2002 film Foodfight, which I think is spelt one word with an exclamation point at the end. Foodfight, exclamation point at the end.
It was hard to search for it until I realized that.
Yes. I expected a lot from this movie. I expected it to be bad. I expected the CG to be bad. I expected the cast to be a stellar cast, but terrible voiceovers otherwise. What I did not expect was this to be as horny as it was. I was also not expecting it to bring Nazis into the equation. So I was surprised. And this is the first time I was watching this movie, and it lives up to the hype. I've worked advertising a lot, and we've worked with CG stuff, especially in like test animations and test commercials. And I recognize the quality in this movie versus a lot of like things that are just supposed to be tests. So yeah, Foodfight is an incomplete mess. But I really like to hear what you guys have to say. Dan, where are you coming from with Foodfight exclamation point?
All right. Well, first things first. This is not violence of the ordinary kind. I mean, this is the atom bomb of violence. And you dropped it on us, man. You didn't care who got in the way. Here's Foodfight exclamation point. Yeah, wow. I too had heard the myth of this movie being one of the worst movies of all time, and it didn't disappoint in that aspect. It made me angry, is what it did. Really angry for the whole hour and a half runtime. I was furious, and this movie, I don't really know what there's to say about it. It's just there had to have been some type of screw up behind the scenes where the producers had a completely different idea. Something went wrong, and this is what came out. All of the voice acting is so disinteresting. It sounds like some of them were doing the voiceover from their bathroom, just very like echoey and like, all right, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, Larry Miller especially. Yeah,
right. All right, Larry Miller, you got to read a line of a page of dialogue here about how you want to eat a chocolate squirrel. All right, well, I'm on the can right now. Yeah, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just put it on a voice recorder and send it over. We'll fix it in post. You mentioned the stellar voice cast. Like, real quick, Charlie Sheen, Christopher Lloyd, and that's a fucking war crime that Christopher Lloyd is in this movie. He should not have his name attached to this. Edward Asner, Jerry Stiller, Christine Brzezinski, Bransky, Wayne Brady, Eva Longoria. Like this is in the hands of a capable studio and director and producers. This is a good movie potentially, right? You have a good voice cast, but man, this movie should be brought up on trial and just sent to The Hague.
This should have its day in Nuremberg.
Oh God, I want there should be a movie about the trial for this movie, and like how everybody from top to bottom just goes down with it. And it's directed by Christopher Nolan, like the Oppenheimer kind of thing going on there. I Am Become Death, the destroyer of worlds, food fight.
All right, what about you, Mark?
Yeah, so the first thing that occurred as soon as I started this movie, when I realized which character Hilary Duff played in this feature, made me realize the possibility that we had 40s Charlie Sheen possibly hitting on and wanting to marry a teenage Hilary Duff, which made it extra creepy right off the bat. We cannot confirm or deny that she was a teenager when she recorded this VO, but that was a great start for this. Immediately, I feel exactly what Ant said. A lot of the animation just felt like this was what they were showing the studio to get the funding to do the full animation. Like this didn't seem like, and probably isn't like a finished product in terms of, and if it is, then someone does not know how to animate. But yeah, and it felt like a lot of those like fake cartoon movies or video games that they put on like cop shows and stuff. That was like the reason for the crime. They watched this, animated show. But yeah, any movie that has surprise Nazis is always going to be low in my book, because it's just like that is the easiest trope in terms of if you need to make evil characters. It's like they're just Nazis. Yeah, that's it. Like no real reason. Like they didn't even try to do anything. Like it was just that Brand X was coming over to take over the store, and they were Nazis. Like that was the extent of the depth of why that occurred. And they did the thing that everyone does when they introduce characters like that. They make it obvious, but also try to hide from mentioning that it is. It's not explicit. They don't mention they're from Germany or anything like that. To like really drive it home, but this is as close as you can get to really driving it home. I feel bad for Charlie Tuna because he is probably one of the prominent ones that doesn't really I guess Chef Boyardee's in it for like a couple seconds, but like gets prominent screen time when he's on screen to be like, oh, that guy, they got the rights to him. Sort of thing. And I have the feeling they didn't have the rights to any of this stuff, because when they're going through the store and they're showing all the stuff in the aisles, I'm like, I guarantee you, I don't think Coke or anybody like signed off on this. Wonder Bread and everything. But yeah, this movie is trash, and it doesn't even have like a very good like plot line to follow. Like I think I was when I was talking last week about when I watched, Boss Baby, at least with that animated film, it was like there was a through line. Whether it's good or not is, up for debate. But at least I can go, okay, I can see how they got the point A to point B to point C to point D. and then the end. Here, I'm just like, okay, I guess these certain people are in the resistance now, like, you know, and yeah, it just felt like they had like two main ideas, you know, of a noir cop losing his love interest and Nazis. And that was it. Everything else was just like, this scene happened. So
You're right. This movie is just a bunch of scenes happening. There's no transitions whatsoever.
Yeah. And so it's basically, you said Nazis and film noir cops, so it's basically just Casablanca.
yeah.
Oh, I don't think that was evident enough by the 100 lines that they used from the movie.
Exactly.
And they also threw in some Gone with the Wind.
Sure.
Yeah.
Got to get that spam joke in there. So apparently what happened with this movie, and it has been mentioned a lot, is that supposedly in 2002, the hard drives were stolen and they basically had to redo everything from scratch. And I guess that's an excuse. I'm looking at a trailer right now of that footage. It looks better. I'll say it looks better, but it doesn't look great. So I don't really know if that's much of an excuse. It just looks like the same animation, just a little bit cleaner. So this movie was doomed from the start.
Yeah, there was definitely like there were things they could have cleaned up that would have moved it up to just boring and not awful boring. You know, you make the backgrounds look a little better. You make it look a little more professional in sort of the animation and movement of the characters. You make the VO sync a lot better and sound better. Sound design and all that. You know, just little tweaks. You don't have to do much in the tweaks, and you got a movie that people just forget about. You know, but you failed at everything. So now it's a movie that gets talked about, and sometimes, you know, people want to be remembered, and sometimes they don't care which way.
I don't understand the concept of this movie. So I understand it takes place in a supermarket.
Right.
But where in the supermarket? Because it looks like there's like a land in the supermarket that's not the supermarket.
Yes. So rather than do like the Toy Story thing where like they just live among the worlds and they just come to life when everybody isn't around, it's the grocery store transforms sort of into a different world in which these Ikes inhabit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's yeah.
Because it really doesn't matter that they're in a grocery store. Like if if they just like if everything was like they lived among all like the shelves and stuff, and like just play up the fact that they're smaller, so the things that they sit on or something is like, oh look, this is a carton of milk that I'm sitting on, you know, something like that. You know, those kind of little touches that could work. But no, they didn't do anything like that. The closest thing they did is the polar penguin that lives in the freezer. That was like it.
Right, because that's my. So you remember in Super Mario 64 where you would jump into the painting, and being in a different world. That's kind of what happens in this, right? The Charlie Sheen's character and the chocolate squirrel, played by Wayne Brady, they like ride a can of soda into the. Oh God. They ride a can of soda into the freezer section, and then they're transported to the like a freezer world. So I couldn't wrap my head around. Are they transporting within the supermarket, or are those in the supermarket?
Yeah, I don't think this movie knows.
No.
I wish we had an answer for you, Dan.
Yeah, and then oh God, like I remember. You know, I'm watching it, and this movie said it was an hour and like 35. There's no way this movie's not 5 hours long. I paused it when they were having the big, what I thought was the climactic battle, and there was still a half hour left.
Yeah.
I didn't throw my remote, but I put it down in an angry fashion where I kind of like slammed it on the couch. Like, God damn it. I can't believe there's another 30 minutes of this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say, not that it would have made it longer, I think pacing-wise, what you could have done is sort of split up that final battle, where you have the scene where they sort of corner the one, brigade, and sort of guerrilla warfare take them out. Then the next thing you have is maybe they get overpowered and then they regroup at the Copa Banana, and then hatch that final plan. And not the thing that bothered me, not that it really matters because this movie is terrible anyway, but is that everything seemed to be happening in like not real time, but like the battle was still going on while they were figuring out the lightning rod plan, sort of thing. Like the only time they regrouped was trying to figure out how to go rescue Sunshine. That's when they retreated, and then after they planted the lightning rods,
is that what that was? I had no clue what was going on at that point.
Yeah, they put tinfoil things up on the buildings to whatever, they knocked out the electricity or something, and then that was shooting electrical bolts to all the places that didn't have lightning rods, which just happened to be all the Brand X buildings. It was stupid, but they did it all so quickly in the middle of fighting everything that you couldn't really parse. Like, they didn't have like a planning session. Like, you could have cut out some of the stupid little too long conversations between Wayne Brady and Charlie Sheen, and had them around the table, going, all right, well, that first thing worked. Now we got to like take out the buildings, just something.
Yeah. They set it up that they have that meeting, but we don't see it. Because he mentions that we got to get all the tinfoil in the store, and then blah, blah, blah. And then cut away to Ava Longoria's character doing her weird posturing on top of Brand X Tower.
God.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still not sure I actually watched this movie.
You experienced it, Dan.
No, I'm wondering if I'm just like in a fever dream or something, or I'm dying. And my last thought before I shuffle off this mortal coil is I saw just something crazy, and that's it. I don't know what it is.
In this fever dream, you watched a commercial for Vlasic pickles, and it was the last thing you remember.
Mr. Clean's in there as well, so maybe that's me.
I will say that's the one running joke that I like, is that Mr. Clean is constantly getting splashed with something.
Yeah.
There was actually, and I felt dirty. Speaking of dirty, I felt dirty laughing at this joke when at the end, when the undesirables start fighting back against the Nazis or the Brand X people. They dump like chocolate on the soldiers, and then after the chocolate has been dumped, one of the soldiers comes over and opens an umbrella over the general, and it just like the smallest chuckle came out, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. It was almost like I was committing a sin by laughing a little bit.
I thought you were going to say when Francois Fromage farted on the general. I thought that's when.
Oh God, too many. And there's a fart joke in the first minute of this movie from the frog.
Yeah, I will say that I got a kick out of Dex winding up being Jewish.
What? And that's how the movie ends.
Dex is Jewish.
What is he like? He's kosher. End credits. Such a jarring ending. And it is all right. So Hilary Duff's character, Sunshine, is she a cat or a person?
She's a cat lady.
She's a cat lady. All right. Why not? So Dex is a dog, right?
Yep.
Why not just make Sunshine a cat? Just a full-blown cat.
Because then you couldn't make it sort of like the Sun-Maid Raisin girl.
Okay.
That's what they were going.
So they decided to just go full furry.
See, my first instinct was that for them to be like, it'd be a little weird if he's in love with just a woman and not like a cat woman,
Yeah.
But at the same time, Lady X wants that dick.
Big time.
Like, hard.
And she's a regular person as far as we know.
Yes.
In terms of this movie.
Yeah. So they weren't shy about that. And also, Dan is also sexually harassing women on the street. Also trying to get Lady X to suck on his chocolate balls.
Does he say that?
No, he doesn't. But says something. He says something to that effect. It's something weird, that like an innuendo.
Yeah, I was to say I must have missed that part. I don't remember anything about chocolate balls.
Yeah, he says something that's an innuendo that I can't remember what it is.
It has a severe sexuality and nudity thing on IMDb, so I wouldn't be shocked.
Interesting. Yeah, this is a pretty horny movie.
Surprising. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think he says something about like his taste my chocolate sauce or something like that.
Oh yes, when he's flying over and he sees the he sees like the woman on the street, and
Yeah.
she tells him to get a shelf life.
Yeah.
Oh boy, the puns, the grocery store puns in this are
Oof, so bad.
unbearable.
The
I would-
strawberry jam out of here.
Yeah, oh.
I would say my chuckle, and it was just because I wasn't expecting it, was when Larry Miller's character popped out, and just his design just made me laugh.
Oh, what is he? Is he a bat?
He's a
Yeah.
he's a vampire. He's
Yeah.
supposed to be Count Chocula. He would have
Oh.
been Count Chocula.
I just, as soon as he came out, I was like, that's ridiculous. It's
And then he wants to eat the squirrel for some reason. Oh, I guess because he likes chocolate.
because he's chocolate. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. It just, but he was like,
Yeah,
he was
you
like an addict.
Yeah, you could tell some of the characters that were based off of real characters that they couldn't get or didn't want to take the chance of portraying.
There were
in
some
there.
that were supposed to be in this and they pulled out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Now,
Chester Cheetah plays prominently in the trailer and he's not anywhere in this movie.
I'm going to be honest. Even if those big name brand characters are in this movie, it would not have made a difference. I guarantee it.
No, because who gives a shit?
Right.
That's what it comes down to. It's like, who gives a shit that they are these brands in this movie?
Was this supposed to be like the Avengers of food brands coming together?
I feel like this is supposed to be like the Roger Rabbit or the like the Wreck-It Ralph
Okay.
sort of situation. It's so misguided.
Yeah, with every movie we ever do on here, it's really hard to do it with this one, but you can kind of see the nugget of something for this movie, and I think Ant just hit it. It's sort of supposed to be like the Roger Rabbit vibe.
Yeah.
You know, of someone essentially taking over Toontown.
Okay.
You know, it's probably the nugget of the idea, and then they just didn't know how to build off of that. Like, what if Roger Rabbit put in a grocery store? Is like the pitch to a producer.
Yeah.
I think, this might be a hot take, but you need the food fights of the world to exist to really appreciate the good animation, like Anthony was saying. Like Wreck-It Ralph. That you need so you can appreciate the Wreck-It Ralphs and like the Moanas and Enter the Spider-Verse. You need the food fight so you can look back on something like this, like, oh my god, this is what it could have been. But
yeah, and it even makes you appreciate some of the like animation stuff that is seen as rough. Some of the Ralph Bakshi stuff, right? It's Ralph Bakshi, right?
yeah, Bakshi. Yeah,
yeah. That was the horny sex cat.
Yes.
Prince the cat. Yep.
Yeah.
Even though some of that stuff is panned, and then all you got to do is someone goes, "Oh, that's weird animation. Why they do that?" You just show them Food Fight and go, "Nope, that's actually very competent." what they did for that animation. This is incompetence.
Yeah.
It gives a nice point. I would use it if I was a teacher. I would use it in animation classes, as sort of at the hey, you see this? Somebody got paid $65 million to do this. If you're even halfway more decent, you'll get more money. Like sort of like a thing you just need to look better than this, and you might,
I wonder if this is what Marvel's doing to their graphic designers. Like, if you don't start churning out She-Hulk and Ghost Rider stuff quickly, we're gonna have you doing Food Fight 2.
Yeah.
So, Food Fight! Directed by Lawrence Kasanoff. Really hasn't directed much, but he's a producer of a bunch of stuff, including a bunch of Mortal Kombat projects, including all 3 feature films, and True Lies. And since this movie, he seems to have tried his best to make a show that he could at least be attached to better animated movies. I don't know how well it's going for him, but he's doing a lot of Lego animated videos, Mortal Kombat animated stuff. He's got a Marvel Superheroes 4D short, and he produced the Bobblehead movie, which is a thing. He's part of the Untitled Tetris Sci-Fi project. So yeah, the rest of his career just seems to be like, well, I gotta prove that this is just a fluke.
I could do this.
Yeah. It stars the voices of Charlie Sheen, Wayne Brady, Ava Longoria, Parker, Hilary Duff, Christopher Lloyd, Chris Kattan, Ed Asner, Jerry Stiller, Christine Baranski, Harvey Firestein, and Edie McClurg.
You forgot the most important one, Haley Duff.
Yes, I specifically took her off, and she knows why.
Yeah, because she only had one line in the whole movie.
No, she knows what she did.
Okay, I'm sorry. We can't speak of it. Got it. Go on.
I don't know what she did. Should I know what she did? Is this a thing?
Come on, Dan. Let's not bring up the past.
Wait a minute.
As an IMDb.
Wait a minute. Tell me off recording because I'm very curious.
Got it.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Or should I? Maybe I should look it up real quick. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm derailing.
IMDb score of 1.3. The Rotten Tomato score of there were 3 critics that panned it, and there was a 10% audience score. Budget $65 million. Box office $120,000.
Oh, you know where the budget went to? Getting the rights to play "Heard It Through the Grapevine."
California Raisins is a high price.
That's true. Yeah, everyone loves the California Raisins.
They do. Yeah, Val, whoever did their Christmas special. I loved that thing when I was a kid.
I think I might still have it on VHS.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I got to look for it.
Great stuff. You want to get into the plot?
No, not really.
It'll be quick.
Okay. Yeah. All right. If you promise.
What do you got for us this week, Dan?
Okay. All right. Shake it off. Let's do this. Going to give a quick shout out to our friends, Tia and Brittany, and their podcast, The Top 10 with Tia. Just go over to geek5nation.com, search Top 10 with Tia. You'll find it right there. It's a weekly podcast where Tia and Brittany run down their top 10 list of the week. So if that's your thing, I highly recommend them. They're good people. You could follow Tia on Twitter at TC_Stark. Brittany is also on Twitter at IttyBittyBrit.
Okay, great. And we're going to take a quick break. And you guys are going to listen to some messages from friends of the podcast. And we will be right back.
Hey, this is Ken M.
Padawan J.
Coach Duffy. From the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast. Every week, the ODPH is talking sports, movies, TV, comics, and more. It's always a parlay of topics on each episode. You can find the ODPH on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, and wherever you find great podcasts, such as the one you're listening to right now. Don't forget to check out OchoDuroParlayHour.com, where you can find the links to all of the ODPH social media accounts, links to the bands whose music you hear each week on the show, hashtag 607 podcast info, and parlay points, our companion blog section of the show. Thanks for listening to the ODPH. Now get back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Welcome, travelers. Seems like you're looking for a story. Well, I got one for you. It involves adventure, friendship, and all sorts of...
Earl, why don't you tell him about that time I stole that big-ass melon?
Yeah, I was going for more...
Or you could tell him about the time I kicked her ass, Earl.
I wouldn't ever tell him.
Do I need to get my ref gear on?
Okay, everyone, shut up. Now come with me as I tell you a story from afar. Hey everybody, my name's David. I'm the DM for From Afar Podcast. A From Afar Podcast is all about 4 friends separated by distance, but brought together by adventure. Hope you all stop by and give us a listen. Thanks.
And welcome back. Now it's time to get into plot 4, Food Fight! Exclamation point. We open on a real Adobe plugin title card for Food Fight! Exclamation point. And we cut to Ed Asner as a shopkeeper saying goodnight to his last customer at Marketropolis, a grocery store, that's a mouthful. All the lights are turned off, but that's when the grocery store comes to life, and all the aisles turn into buildings. Rather than a Toy Story situation, the actual store transforms. And we sweep across this town that exists inside this grocery store, meeting a whole bunch of food mascots that don't really matter, and Mr. Clean. Then we meet Dex, the dog detective, as he is trying to stop a burglar rat, although his name is Fat Cat Burglar, which I guess makes more sense, but he's a rat as far as I could tell. Played by Harvey Firestein and his team of hairless hamsters and karate gis, as he tries to get away with the stolen goods, maybe, and a hot air balloon. Don't really know what Fat Cat did.
Those hamsters, they're hamsters, right, I think?
Mm-hmm.
those things they overstay their welcome in this movie.
100%.
They are in it far too long.
Here and at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, they show up at the end for a lot of screen time. and offer nothing to the movie.
100%. Yeah. So then Dex then decides to eat a raisin as if it were spinach and he was a Popeye, despite the fact that raisins are toxic to dogs. And then dispatches of the hairless hamsters by making them chase a wedge of cheese off the hot air balloon, but not before they each defy gravity and fall to the ground. And then Dex uses a cocktail sword to pop the balloon, sending Fat Cat flying, and Dex floats away, also defying all laws of physics. And that animation was just fantastic.
That's when I knew what we were in for, really, when Dex flies to the ground in just one stiff
yeah.
he looks like a mannequin.
He does. It's like zero. He's not bent in any way. Legs outright, arms outright. He looks like an action figure, like a little kid playing with an action figure, just flying down.
Dex then gets interviewed by a bunch of Ikes, which is short for food icons, for this being his 500th case solved. Crowd disperses, and then Dex confides in his friend Daredevil Dan, a chocolate flying squirrel, that he's nervous over the fact that he plans to propose to his girlfriend, Sunshine Sweetness, a cat girl mascot from a raisin box. I can't believe I'm saying these things out loud.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, are we sure we actually watched this movie?
I don't know. It just feels like this one of those tweets where it's like I made this AI watch 130 hours of commercials on daytime television, and this is what it came up with.
And this is the script that it wrote.
That would be the only explanation for the movie.
Because that's the thing. There is the thing about getting like the hard drives being just completely lost. That's one thing. The script is garbage. That didn't get a misplaced, I don't think.
Did any of you find it strange that there are over 500 cases in a shopping or in a food store?
Yeah, he's busy, eh?
That's a crime-riddled food store.
Mm-hmm. The USDA is not doing their job.
No, apparently not. So I would have to imagine that there's murders that take place there, right?
I guess so. That means like the brands get canceled too.
Ooh, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Stan tells Dex not to worry about it, and then he says he's got to fly. So Dex and Sunshine meet up for a romantic dinner in the park, made her deed by a tough-talking moose. And then Sunshine says she likes the way he loves her raisins, which sounds pretty dirty. Dex fumbles his words, trying to find the right way to propose, but as he does, Dan comes flying by in his plane and starts skywriting a picture of Dex proposing to Sunshine. Dan tries to do a loop-de-loop, which he's never been able to pull off, but winds up crashing his plane. So Sunshine tells Dex she'll be right back. She has to go check on Dan. So she goes. He just stands around like an idiot. Then hours go by and Sunshine hasn't come back yet. But Dan says she'll be fine. They have to get back because the store is about to open.
Yeah, the whole point of that end part with Sunshine is just for her to deliver that line that he uses at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Something about doing the right thing or something.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I forget the exact line, but she says something there and he says it at the end. And that is the whole point of her leaving to go check on Dan.
Yeah, it's like when in doubt, always do the right thing.
Yeah.
Because it's never wrong or something like that.
Yeah. Something that someone did the old joke we make while they're typing a script. That is gold.
Yeah. We have to add a message in this movie. And Sunshine is gone for the whole movie after this.
Yep.
She shows up in the last 10 minutes.
Yep.
Well, there's child labor laws. So
maybe that's what it was. Or I would assume she was shooting what movie or what show was she in?
Lizzie McGuire.
Lizzie McGuire, that's what it is.
Squeezing it in for Lizzie McGuire time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so Haley. Is that what I was saying? I have no idea.
Did you just create a Disney Channel show?
I think I combined That's So Raven and Hillary Duff.
Yeah. Thank God, because Sunshine's got those dead, lifeless eyes that come from an animatic.
And the teeth. It's so
the teeth are so
unnerving.
bad. Yeah. Because I couldn't tell if she had fangs.
Right. Like a cat. But then you see all the teeth.
Yeah.
And it's just it's terrifying to look at. I don't
And
know how
also-
to properly describe it.
Yeah, I'm also really uncomfortable by every time he like touches her face with his stupid dog paws.
I wish they just would have went full cat.
Yeah.
That would be one of the biggest things that would, again, it wouldn't make the movie passable in any way, shape, or form, but it would have made me feel way better about myself watching this.
Yeah. But then she couldn't, then Lady V wouldn't be, or Lady X wouldn't be jealous of her.
I guess. I don't
Like,
know.
There are a lot of reasons not to do what they did, but they did it anyway.
That's the motto of the movie.
Right. Oh, you know, it's weird because you mentioned how the hard drive was stolen.
Yeah.
Something similar happened to Toy Story 2, where the hard drive wasn't stolen, but it was deleted.
Yeah.
But the producer had a backup copy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, had that not have happened, would we have gotten a Food Fight-esque Toy Story 2?
Just like a first pass animation of it.
Yeah, just again, like phenomenal, voice acting by Hanks and Tim Allen, and the rest of the gang, but just horrifying images of Woody and Buzz and Ham, just like a big ugly Ham. Because the people in this are frightening.
Yeah,
capital F.
That one woman in the grocery store
with the baby.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's terrifying. It's legit terrifying, people. I'm not joking. It's not hyperbole. It's frightening.
Yeah. Cut to 6 months later, a Brand X ambassador by the name of Mr. Clipboard comes to the grocery store to introduce the new Brand X products to the store owner. Mr. Clipboard is played by none other than Christopher Lloyd. His animation is a choice, to say the least.
Were they basing his character off of the Judge Doom character? You think?
So I feel like that's why they tapped Christopher Lloyd for it, to make that connection. But I'm not seeing it in the design. And the most interesting thing about Mr. Clipboard is the way he walks. So I'm not exactly sure if that doesn't feel like a nod to anything that I've ever seen.
He doesn't talk like him.
The reveal of what he is, is supposed to be, oh, that's why he was the way he was, but it was too over exaggerated to feel like a real human anyway.
Yeah.
That the reveal was like, oh, I guess so.
Yeah. He kind of moves around like the Tar Man in Return of the Living Dead.
Yes,
That's
very overly exaggerated, long movements, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I looked at my wife when he walked in, when that character came in, and we didn't say anything to each other. We just looked at each other. And it's one of those things like, are you seeing this? Yeah, I'm seeing this. I can't believe I'm seeing this, and then continued to see it.
Mm-hmm. And he's there to replace the other brands with Brand X stuff. Meanwhile, Sunshine is still missing, and Dex is having nightmares about her disappearance. Dex has since giving up his detective business and just mopes around and runs his club, the Copa Banana. Dan sets off his plane, and Cat calls a woman, and then crashes his plane into the Keebler Elf treehouse. Meanwhile, Dex walks the streets and tries to get information from what could only be described as a shit weasel.
Yep.
That then gets hit by a trolley car.
Yeah, until I figured out they were going for the weasel thing. At first, I was like, is he supposed to be like a rotisserie chicken?
He does sort of shaped like one.
And then I think I see him in an ad later, and I was like, oh, it's supposed to be like a chocolate weasel. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Then he goes to the club. Dex goes to the club, that is, and it's a happening place with all the best characters. Charlie the Tuna, the California Raisins, Mr. Clean. I think Mrs. Butterworth shows up there too.
Yeah.
All the best.
Chiquita Banana.
Yeah.
Is that is it Chiquita Banana?
I don't think by name, but yeah. Essentially that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that for sure, but I wasn't sure if it was actually Chiquita Banana or not.
Yeah, I don't believe it's named Chiquita. But then the sexy Brand X icon, Lady X, shows up to the club, accompanied by a song that sort of sounds like Livin' La Vida Loca, and she makes an entrance and tries to come on to Dex. But she winds up causing a fight between Dan and a pirate Ike because Mr. Clipboard stomped on one of these pirates' bags of chips in the store. And then a food fight ensues with the whole club fighting each other for kind of no reason. And eventually Dex tells everyone to leave the club, and Lady X leaves with Dan because chicks dig chocolate.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's sort of racist.
I think it's thinly veiled racism.
Right? Yeah. Because it's Wayne
Yeah.
Brady as Dan.
Right.
Yeah, and obviously the whole food fight thing was supposed to be a trailer thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dex heads back to his office, then Lady X shows up in a schoolgirl outfit, tries to come on to Dex, and he's transfixed by her perfume, but he does manage to spurn her advances. It's just so odd how horny this moment is.
Yeah, the schoolgirl outfit in particular.
Yeah. I feel like this is a kid's movie, but this movie is trying really hard for get me to want to fuck Lady X.
Jesus.
Am I wrong?
Well, hey, I can't tell you how you should feel. That's not for me to say. I myself did not want to have any relations with anything in this movie. And that's hard to say because I am a filthy person. So,
fuck, marry, kill.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Lady X.
Okay.
Sunshine.
Okay.
And so I need a third. Chiquita Banana.
I have to kill.
The chick that Dan catcalls on the street, which is apparently supposed to be originally was Little Debbie, which is weird.
Oh, ooh, ew. Jeez Louise. I gotta kill Sunshine because she's like 12. At the time of this recording, we've kind of established. So I'm not catching those charges.
Nice try, officer.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not happy saying this, but I gotta bang Lady X, and then I guess marry Chiquita Banana for the potassium.
There you go. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, so I feel like Dan's thing is the only right answer in this scenario, because I think the way the movie wants you to go is to marry Sunshine, you know, and kill whoever our third character is, because the other two, according to the writers and producers and all, are obvious. It's marry Sunshine, fuck Lady X. Just in the way they portray the two characters. Sure. But yeah, I agree with Dan. The fact that we established that we do not know for sure whether Hilary Duff was 18 when she recorded this VO. I'll just take the chance and just murder her, and make sure that if we're doing the girl who's supposed to be Little Debbie, which I believe, if the one I'm thinking of you're talking about,
was Haley Duff. Yeah,
it was Haley Duff. I think she's the older sister, so fingers crossed on that one. But yeah, Dan's option is the only correct answer, and probably the one I would choose as well. But yeah, I think if you take voice actors out of the situation, the way I said originally is the way it's supposed to be set up, and I think they hit you over the head with that throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, I don't really argue with that. Yeah, so if anybody's wondering why we keep talking about Hilary Duff's age, is because this movie came out in 2002, was supposed to come out in 2002, didn't get released until 2012. So in 2002, she was 15. Yeah. And obviously, she was 10 years older when this movie came out. So we don't know when she recorded her voice. I assume it was towards the end. Sometimes you say, oh, well, they probably recorded it early because they would need to sync the animation to the voice. There was no effort to do that in this movie. So even if that was a thing, they did not try. So we're assuming that she was like in her 20s, though. Make us sleep better.
Yeah. To make us feel better. Yeah.
Make us feel better about. I mean, I know they're voice actors. They were probably never in the same zip code when they recorded, but just to make us feel better that Charlie Sheen and Hilary Duff are essentially the romantic leads in this movie.
Yeah. No matter what her age is, that's still.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, especially because because of his extracurriculars,
his tiger blood.
Yeah, guess that's what they call AIDS.
Yeah, well, that's what he likes to refer to it as.
That's what he meant, right?
Yeah, I think that was his way of spinning it a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, I wasn't lying to these people. I came right out and said I had tiger blood in me.
Right. However, you decided to take that. That's on you. I knew what I was saying.
It's not my fault. You guys don't call AIDS tiger blood. It's a lot cooler.
Hey, get on my level.
What a shitty person.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that.
Hell of a pitcher, though.
Yeah, hey, listen, he came through when you needed him to, right?
Yeah. Later, Dex meets up with Max the Moose, and they find that a whole bunch of Ikes have just been straight up fucking murdered. And what that means in the outside world is that the brand is basically no more. So Lady X says that it must have been Dan, who has a grudge with the salty snacks icons, apparently. But Dex says that Dan couldn't have done it, but he says he won't come out of retirement to try and solve the crime. What a hero Dex is. Just litter the streets littered with bodies of Ikes, and he's just like, nope, not this time.
Oh, so what was his character development? Like, so he's a detective, then he becomes a club owner?
I don't know if he always had the club.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't quite understand his path. So I didn't know if he went from a detective to a club owner back to a detective, or was he just always a detective? I don't remember. I don't even know if there was supposed to be a path for him.
I don't even know. I don't think they knew either. Well, he was always a detective, but I don't know if he was a club owner in the 6 months prior. I'm assuming he did.
Yeah, it was just dependent on the jacket he was wearing, Dan. Which he was.
Was he supposed to be Indiana Jones?
So he's dressed like Indiana Jones, but he's got a Rick from Casablanca whole basic storyline. So
yes,
yeah.
So
they're like, why not both?
Right. Who's gonna stop us?
Yeah, nobody. The grocery store shelves are now empty, and Brand X starts moving its products into the empty spots. The United Supermarket Defense Association has a meeting about all the murders, and Lady X comes in with the other Brand X Ikes to take over as the head of the USDA to help the rest of the Ikes and to bring order to the town. Then she accuses a really racist Asian stereotype for the murders, and then they just take it over. Meanwhile, Shit Weasel gets tossed off a building by one of Lady X's Nazi Gestapo, and then Dex decides that he has to try and figure out who's behind all this.
I could have sworn that the Gestapo was Tim Curry.
He's definitely got a Tim Curry voice thing going on.
Yeah, he was trying real hard to sound like Tim Curry.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was. I looked up the cast, but I'm like, yeah, this isn't worth putting in that much effort.
I really can't even figure out what the guy's name was the character's name was.
Yeah, because everything is just like X, Brand X Lunch Lady, General X.
That's Jerry Stiller, I think.
Yeah, there's Jerry Stiller, Lady, anything with X in it, I guess.
Why does the one general, and maybe it's just me, sound like Alan Rickman?
I think that's who we're talking about.
I think that's the same one that he's saying that sounds like Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was like Alan Rickman doing his German impression, right?
Yeah.
I think this is Lieutenant X.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't figure out their names between General and Lieutenant, which one was which.
Because I don't think that was the Doctor. No.
It makes me so sad that they had Cloris Leachman in this.
Yeah, and Jerry Stiller.
And Jerry Stiller, like two icons, and just besmirching their name with this, just having it. And TC Tam alum Larry Miller.
Yep.
So many good men going down.
And wasn't there a thing in the trivia or something where animators of this movie have refused to put their name, put it on their resume?
Yeah, they took it off of their resumes. They don't
blame them.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
No, I would become like Jared Leto, like, oh, I don't remember doing that. Foodfight? No, I don't. No, I didn't do. No, you did that movie. Nope, I don't. What's Foodfight? Never even heard of it.
I don't know her.
Yeah.
The guy that did the voice of that lieutenant has a very long voiceover career. Man in the Yellow Hat in the Curious George TV series from 2006 to 2022. The Young Justice, Mickey Mouse Mixed Up Adventures, Adventure Time, Teen Titans Go, Big Hero 6, the series. Yeah, he seems to be a very busy voiceover actor.
So he's doing okay. He recovered.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's got shit ton of stuff.
Well, that's good. Good for him. I'm glad he could land on his feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then Dex runs into Shit Weasel, who tells him that he saw Dan over in the laundry detergent section with Lady X. So Dex goes to pay Lady X a visit in the Brand X Tower, and she's there waiting for him with a sexy dress. and they dance and size each other up, and he says that he thinks she did something with Dan. So then she knocks him out with like a statue and puts him in a dryer with Dan to be melted. I guess Dan will be melted. I don't know what will happen to Dex, because I feel like he's just a dog.
Right. But he's not a real dog.
No.
So I don't know. Yeah, can he die?
I don't know.
Characters do die in this movie.
They do.
Right? The La Fromage, he dies.
Yeah. He comes back, though.
Oh, he does?
Because they get the
antidote
from the giant nose doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot about that guy. Jeez.
Dr. Cynostrix.
Yeah. This is like a Hall of Fame of shitty characters.
Then Dex and Dan escape via this vent that steals socks. Meanwhile, Lady X is also commissioning Nazi-like experiments on some of the Ikes. And stormtroopers are now just marching through the streets. Dex and Stan make it to a scientist's lab in order to analyze the perfume of Lady X. Scientist runs some tests, and he says that he can't identify the secret ingredient, but it's toxic and addictive. Dex decides that they have to get to the shop owner's computer and issue a recall to Brand X, and they'll have to do it during the daytime, which is a forbidden idea to go out during the daytime when humans are in the store. Dan and Dex set out to cross the store, but then a giant Nazi Brand X woman tries to stop them, and they wind up hitching a ride on a shopping cart, but so does the Nazi woman, and it's being pushed by the ugliest animated character that has ever been animated.
Easily.
That ugly potato-looking woman.
Again, just mouth agape when this thing enters the screen.
Just when you thought this movie couldn't get any uglier, it gets uglier.
Yeah, I can't. I would imagine the people watching the dailies of this movie just like constant head in hands, right? When something shows up, and you're just like, oh Jesus, we're really doing this, aren't we? Yeah, we have no choice. We got to do this.
Yep. But then Dex comes flying by on a soda bottle for some reason, and then they fly away. I didn't realize soda bottles fly.
Yeah, at first they don't. There's nothing coming out of the soda bottle.
Yeah. And then it makes sense. It's like, oh, it's the stream of soda is propelling them. But at first, there's no reason for it.
Nope. No, it's just a soda bottle just comes by. and then, then you see the stream. But, oh boy.
They wind up in the freezer and tell Polar Penguin to organize all the other Ikes at the Copa Banana that night to try and figure out how they're going to fight Brand X. And they make it into the exploration station in the back, and they meet Vlad Chokul, an undead Ike who survived the murders because he's a vampire that loves chocolate. He's also strongly attracted to Dan. And they go and log into the owner's computer, and the Brand X Nazi troops seal the door with glue, locking them inside. So Dan and Vlad try to find a way out through the vents while Dex works on the computer. Dex tracks the information regarding recalls from the store and only comes up with 2 recalls. A prune brand with an ugly-ass mascot and sunshine raisins. And both recalls were made by Brand X. So Dex tries to set up a recall for Brand X, but the Brand X Gestapo cut the power, so they have to head out to the Copa Banana to speak with the rest of the resistance, quote-unquote. Meanwhile, Lady X is now speaking out against the undesirables from her tower. So really laying it on thick at this point. At the Copa Banana, the Ikes prepare to fight against Brand X, but then the Brand X Nazis come in too and threaten to shred a French cheese mascot. Then there's a dance-off between the Ikes and Brand X as they fight with their respective national anthems. It's fucking stupid.
Yes, it is.
It goes on for far too long, too.
Yeah. And then Brand X Nazis just leave. Lady X does her weird posturing on top of Brand X Tower again. Dex rallies troops with his plan. Later, Lady X spots Dex on the roof of one of the aisles, then sends her troops to round him up, and thus begins the food. And how he says it in this movie, it's food, fight, exclamation point. It starts with the resistance dropping some hot chocolate on the Brand X Nazis, and then it's just shot after shot of the same animations of Brand X Nazis getting tossed by explosions of food.
That's what the next 20 minutes of this movie are.
Yeah.
It's just explosions of food.
Explosions of food. There's a battle scene that goes on for a solid 8 minutes of recycled animation as each side gets blown up by food. They change it out from pickles flying through the air to whipped cream and all that kind of bullshit.
Yeah, there's even a joke about hitting the back of a ketchup bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. And so this is when I paused the movie to see how much longer there was. There was still 30 minutes. It's unbelievable. I was just thinking about it again. It's giving me like sending chills up my spine.
Then the shit weasel says he can help, so Dex sends him down in the sewers. And all the Ikes set up lightning rods on all their buildings. At the end of the day of fighting, the resistance goes back to the club to regroup and assess the casualties, which includes Polar Penguin and the French cheese guy. Vlad tells him all the lightning rods are in place and it's time for phase 2. But Dan says they can't do phase 2 until they get rid of Brand X flying robot bugs that sting poison everywhere. So Dex convinces Dan to fly him up to the Brand X tower to cut off the poison supply. Meanwhile, Cheezel T. Weasel, which is the shit weasel, knocks down a power line near Brand X that starts an electrical storm. The electrical storm starts hitting all the Brand X towers because they don't have lightning rods, which the resistance buildings do. Meanwhile, Dex makes it to the tower and manages to destroy the poison supply, but when he goes to take on Lady X, he finds Sunshine being held prisoner. And Lady X postures and leaves her Brand X Nazi to take care of Sunshine and Dex, and she leaves. But Dex pulls the rug out from under the Brand X Nazi literally, and the poison gun flies up in the air, and then Dex gets a raisin tossed to him by Sunshine, and then he catches it in his mouth, spits it at the gun, and then the gun injects itself into the Brand X Nazi, and then Brand X Nazi dies. And then Dex and Sunshine reunite, and it turns out that Brand X has stolen Sunshine's essence in order to use it for their elixir. It's stupid. The tower starts to crumble from the lightning strikes, and Dan comes flying by just in time to catch Dex and Sunshine before it collapses, and he even manages to do a successful loop-de-loop.
I was going to say, don't forget, he did the loop-de-loop, Ant.
I remember that, and I remember what Haley Duff did.
Yes, we all do.
I am psyched to hear about this. I'm more hyped up to hear about this than anything the movie has done.
They land, and Mr. Clipboard is now doing his crazy walk, destroying everything in his path in the Ike world. Dex tricks Mr. Clipboard into chasing him and winds up tripping over tripwire, and he falls down, and then his head opens up, and out pops Lady X. Mr. Clipboard was a giant robot the whole time. And Lady X was the ugly prune Ike the whole time, too. Sort of like the reveal of the villain in Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I do remember. I forgot about that.
The whole plan was to take Sunshine's essence for Brand X because Lady X was jealous of her back when she was just an ugly prune Ike. So then Lady X starts to beat up Dex, who won't hit a woman. So then Sunshine steps in and beats her up so much that she turns back into her ugly prune self. They send her to the exploration station, and then Dex finally proposes to Sunshine, and she says yes. Then the scientist has found an antidote to the poison and is able to bring back all the Ikes that were killed. Then Dex and Sunshine get married at a lovely Jewish ceremony, and all the characters celebrate, and they all have their moments during the credits. And that's the end of Food Fight. Good lord, it sucks.
Putting it mildly.
Just slightly.
Yeah, I think definitely one of the things that annoyed me about this is that they tried to throw in adult humor to kind of keep adults interested while watching it with their kids. And it just, this is clearly not meant for adults at all.
Yeah.
This is strictly for kids. It's really goofy, over the top, colorful kind of thing. So I hate when these movies try to get a little bit more, I guess, blue with the comedy.
Oh yeah, there's a size matter joke at the end.
That's right. Yeah, size only matters with guys.
Yeah,
and then like
she insinuates that she's fucked normal sized human males. In that statement.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
They ask, how does she get into how does she get around? How'd she all that kind of stuff? And she says, and that's where it comes up. She says, well, when you look like this, humans will do whatever you want. And she says, size only matters for men, insinuating that she's fucked human males.
Now, how does that work? I don't even want to know.
Yeah, this is not the podcast for that.
No.
But if you go over to our Patreon,
right, where we break down the
just the mechanics of how that would work.
Right. Yikes. Talk about a movie flawed from beginning to end.
There are very little redeeming qualities for this movie.
I couldn't name one.
It starts and ends with just the names that are on the cast list. The performances aren't good, but that cast list is impressive.
Yes. I think that's the only good thing about it is just the cast.
Yeah.
I mean, my God. I don't know. There's no way to logically I guess ingest this movie is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's there. And again, I think it's important to be used to appreciate good animation. Like this movie is like PlayStation 1 graphics.
Yeah.
$65 million. That's like
unbelievable.
$5 million less than The Northman, and that was a box office failure.
Man, I don't know. I don't know what else there is to say really. I'm at a loss for words with this movie. I think this might be worse than Love on a Leash.
I was thinking I was going to ask that question. Is this the worst movie we've ever covered? And it might be.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, even the first movie we ever covered, the Lost World, an asylum movie, pretty much. That had better animation, and that was some of the worst animation I've ever seen.
Yep,
with the dinosaurs. And it was probably done for less than half of the budget this had.
Yeah, I would say it's like a $5 million budget for that movie.
Yeah, has to be something in the single digits, I'd imagine. Just, I don't know how this happens in America.
Right? This guy must have just rolled natural 20s on all his charisma checks to get this movie made, financed.
Oh, something, or he had dirt on somebody big.
Yeah,
like I caught you with the mistress.
This is the first time that we've done a movie where, normally we say, what can we change to make it better? And the only answer is to just make a whole different movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to scrap this altogether. And part of me wonders if that was thought of, or they were just in too deep.
There had to be, I don't know what the split is in terms of how much money it cost before they quote unquote lost the files versus how much they, had to also add to it. But man, at that point, because I've seen the trailer and the trailer isn't that impressive either.
Right.
It looks better than what we got, but it doesn't look that different. So I don't know.
Why, if you're the studio, why don't you just eat you eat it and maybe collect insurance on it if that was possible? I'd be like, hey, listen, the movie was stolen. We can't get you a good product in time. We have to scrap it. And just collect the insurance, chalk it up as a loss.
I would think that production insurance would cover lost footage. I would think. I'm not.
I mean, come on, Dan. What do you think this is, Batgirl?
That's immediately what I was thinking of. That movie was scrapped, and I think that cost like $90 million to make. And Warner Brothers just said, "Fuck it, we're not putting this out." So I don't see why that could have been done for this.
Yeah.
Again, this is a movie that looks like it could have been made in somewhere in Europe. Like this was a European production that has very little credits to its name. These types of movies should not exist in America, where we are all about film and television. This is embarrassing. And it's really, I'm sure people have seen this in other countries, and like this is what America has to offer.
Yep.
Just another dark day for America.
Good Lord, it's bad.
Yeah. I think we've trashed it pretty well.
Yeah, I think that is going to wrap us up this week. Foodfight was a tough one, but it's in our rear view, and we're looking ahead to the next shitty movie. So check us out on all the socials. If you know where we are, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably know where to find us on the socials. But we're at TickDamnPod on Instagram and on Twitter, and you can find us on TikTok at They Called Us a Movie. That's going to wrap us up this week. The director of Foodfight! Director is Lawrence Kasanoff. So, for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Del Vecchio telling Lawrence Kasanoff, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you? Thanks for listening to They Called Us a Movie. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at TickTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. You can also check us out on TikTok at They Called Us a Movie.